Funding, an educational issue. Funding between public and private schools. The Australian government has taken a major role in the funding and policy in education. There are two sectors in the education system. The first, government schools, known as public. They're operated and owned by state and territory governments. The majority are funded by states and territories and are also given supplementary assistance by the Australian government. The second are non-government schools, known as private. They're operated and owned privately. The Australian government provides the majority of the funding they receive and are supplemented by the states and territories. What is the difference between public and private? Boston 2017 states that public schools receives all its funding from the government and is required to accept any student that wants to attend it, regardless of their background such as culture, religion, social status, or any social disadvantage. Public schools, which include Catholic and religious schools, charge fees to attend the school, and they are also receiving funds from the government. Many of these schools don't even require the funding in order for them to deliver their higher quality education. However, private schools have selective tests and are allowed to choose who they want to accept. So, what is the issue with funding? There are many issues that have come up from the government's funding policies. Many question on why the funding is unequal across schools. Some schools receiving more funds than others. Why is that? This is causing favoritism of schools, making them look like they are the better school. Also, money isn't being spent in the correct areas. Where money is being spent is used as a political gain to choose and favor who is better. What area the school in depends on the type of funding they receive, and not equally funding them and then complaining that there isn't enough money to go around. But the major issue is, why are private schools receiving more funds than public when they also have fees to assess them? Are the government favoring them over public? How much is the government spending? The new funding figures show that the total of government funding, that includes funds from Commonwealth and state territories for private schools, has increased. This shows that the government has failed to accurately fund public schools. The new funding totaling $243.5 billion was announced for 2018 to 2027, showed that public schools would get $102.1 billion and private schools getting $141.4 billion. How is this issue approached? The traditional approach to the issue has been that the government needs to boost funding. However, this isn't a smart solution because the government is already spending billions on funding, supporting only education and leaving other areas, which will cause major issues. What do others think? Ashbolt 2014 states that in terms of democratic philosophy, there shouldn't be no government funding to private schools. He suggests that funding should be given to public schools first, and when the public school system has been given the best, then private schools should be given funds. However, on the other hand, the conversation quotes that the NSRB recommends that budgeting to private schools should be given based on how much pre-tax families that choose to send their children to private schools rather than the area they live in. But is this really a solution? The ethical and democratic. Ashbolt 2014 stresses that the public policy that has been made that private is better choice than public has nothing to do with democracy. It is also unethical in the manner of how the government is over and underfunding certain schools. A new approach to the issue. Studies have shown that private schools are no better at progressing students' learning than a public school, so why are they receiving more funds? I think to solve this issue, all schools should be moved to a public system. that will provide the same quality of teaching, accepting everyone with no discrimination, no look at social status, all while receiving the same funds from the government. So when it's time for parents to select their school for their children, it's not a struggle in them thinking that private is better. And that is also to ensure that when finishing school, no one would be favoured for job or uni because their school is a private school, and also making sure that all teachers and staff members attending the schools are trained to the highest quality. Referencing. Thank you.